Hi everybody and welcome back to my next guest. My next guest is a lovely Rachel Chant, and Rachel is currently Miss Britannia Crystal Elegance. Say hello, Rachel.
Hello, I pretend to be Elegance.
You are elegant, and I was just saying before to Rachel how amazing that crown is. You can see it really shining on the video. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, thank you.
It suits your head, Rachel. It suits your head, darling. Pure beauty, pure beauty, pure beauty.
It was made to fit.
Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
That's wonderful. As you know, I've been doing lots of interviews with queens who I consider as being super empowered, super confident, super amazing. And I want you to share. But you see, I first met you at Royal, didn't I? And you were comparing. And I compare a lot in a lot of things that I've done in the past with like teaching and shows and stuff like that. And the amount of people who feel like they couldn't possibly step on a stage, never mind compare. So I understand, and you did it so well as well. You were so clear, so precise, so confident. It made me think, she's someone I need to talk to. She's because it's very empowering, isn't it, to be able, because you are literally in control of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure actually when you think about being a compare or something like that, because you are the person that everybody's listening to or waiting for them to. Everybody's waiting for you to talk. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I was stood on that
first time.
I was stood behind the podium shaking. I was literally shaking. Yeah, I was actually holding onto the podium to begin with. And I thought, no, I've got to let go because I couldn't read what I was saying because I was shaking the podium.
You did not come across like that at all. Was that your first time doing it?
No, not on that kind of scale. Yes, on that kind of scale. Yes, I've done a load of charity pageants. I've done when I used to do athletics and sport. I used to help out on the microphone announcing winners and things like that when I was a bit younger. But actually, on that kind of scale, that was the first time I've ever done something like that. Yes,
well done, you. Well done. I thought you were like a professional. You've been doing it for years, to be honest with you. She's super strong. She's super strong. My kind of girl.
Well, strangely enough, actually, that wasn't the first time we've actually met. I actually met you at the Diamond Northwest Heats. When your hair was a different colour and you wore that absolutely amazing gladiator outfit.
Oh, don't get me going on that one.
I remembered you from that one because all I thought was, oh, so I've got a gladiator with her.
Yeah, my husband and I spent 3 days making that.
It was spectacular. That costume was brilliant.
I know. Still got it. I'm just waiting for another use for it.
Why? Wear it around the house, for heaven's sakes.
I enjoy my peace and quiet, darling. No, I don't get attacked with swords from my little boy. So yeah, I wanted to invite you along because you obviously come across as quite empowered, confident, and quite sure of what you're doing and where you're going. And I wanted you don't pull faces like that. I wanted you to share your views on empowerment because I do believe that pageantry gives people a hell of a lot, and it's very underthought of in general public. So could I ask you quickly, first of all, could you just tell us a little bit about your pageant journey, when you started, what you've entered and stuff like that, just a quick brief?
Okay, well, I've actually only been doing pageants for just over 2 years. I joined my first system, which was Crown and Glory, in October or November of 2017. And I competed for the first time in February 2018 at the Crown and Glory Regionals, where I won the first title of Woman Crown and Glory Wales.
So that was your first time?
That was the first one. Well, I had done a couple of charity pageants previous to that, but that was my first big event. Then in August 2018, I won Woman Crown and Glory UK. I handed that title over in August 2019, and then 7 days later, I entered Miss Britannia Crystal and became the very first Miss Britannia Crystal Elegance. at the end of August 2019, and here I am now.
That's amazing. So you've gone from a queen to a queen with a week.
Yeah, I literally had 7 days in between matches.
That is amazing.
That was interesting, I must say.
That is amazing achievement though. Not many people can say they've been a queen to a queen in a week.
No, I have to admit it was a little bit of a surprise. I will say that it was definitely a surprise.
Oh. So what was it that actually got you into pageantry in the first place? What made you decide to take your first one?
On a practical, what first springs to mind level, I was, I say, dragged kicking and screaming onto stage by a couple of friends at the time who thought that I could do it. Come on, for God's sake, get yourself a pair of heels, get on the stage, have a go at it. I think you'd be all right at it. Give yourself a boost. When I actually thought about that question, I actually found that it's actually a much deeper answer to that. At the time that I did that, we're talking August 2017, I still have 2 young children, and I just left a full-time job to have to become a full-time carer for my mum, and to a degree I think I kind of lost a little bit of myself.
Yeah.
I hadn't really done anything that was just for me for quite a long time at that point, because I mean, when you become a parent, you forget what it was like before you had children. You put everything you are into helping them grow and achieve things.
You lose your identity a little bit, don't you?
You do lose a little bit of yourself. Yeah. Although you don't particularly lose it, you just kind of put it to the back. And while I was pushed, shall we say, it wasn't 100% me pushing back, because at the time I knew I was ready to find something that was for me again, and that I could use as a platform for my own self-expression. Yeah. And to bring out what I'd lost, or what not lost, but had to put behind me for a little while. I'd always had a bit of a background within performance as it was anyway, and yes, it was terrifying getting back on that stage for the first time, but from the first moment I did it, I knew that it was something that I could use for me to open up as that side of myself again, and to almost just take a little bit of pressure off my heart, because I did know that I'd come back into my shell. I'd become very closed off, and this was my way of breaking out of that cycle and becoming not just a mum and a wife, but feeling like a woman again.
Yeah, it's having something for you, isn't it? Having something for you, as you say, it's just part of it. Yeah. I had a question then, it went out my head. Oh yeah, you said that you did something performing beforehand, and it was you getting back on stage. What did you do?
Well, my roots go right back into performance from when I was about 8 or 9, when I first joined the Bangor pantomime group. I've always ended up being one of those people who kind of comes into things completely out of the blue, because my mum had been part of the Bangor pantomime group for an awfully long time, good 4 or 5 years before I joined, and that one of their characters had to drop out really close to the actual show starting. And my mum said, well, what about my little girl? Well, she's got a big mouth, she'll love doing this. And the next thing I know, I'm on stage playing the Genie of the Ring in Aladdin.
Wow.
And then
I bet you loved
for quite a few years afterwards. Oh, I did. And then from then onwards, for about 5 years, I did shows with the Bangor Pantomime Company. I went right through from doing chorus work up to main characters, singing, dancing, all of these kind of things. And then I decided from there to go on to do performing arts. So I spent 3 years doing performing arts, and then went into education and performance. So we would based in North Wales, but we travelled across the country doing shows on subjects in schools.
Oh,
so
wow.
The one that comes to my mind straight away was our anti-bullying program, where we did a show about bullying and the effects on children of bullying and how quickly it can escalate. And yeah, that one was one of the main ones that I did.
Isn't
and then
sorry, go on.
Then the children, the first bump arrived, so I kind of had to take a step back after that.
Isn't it amazing how that one chance event of that person not being able to do that part in that pantomime can result in the rest of your life being laid out for you and the path that you took? Isn't that really strange? I did pantomimes a lot when I was little. From the age of about 7 through to 14, I was in the yearly pantomime at New Brighton. And the making of me, you know, the way you always get the little dancers, you get the kid dancers around it, and then you get the teen dancers around it. That's what I, for that 7 years. And the memories I have from that, that's where I got my confidence from, getting on the stage at an early age. And then having that kind of getting rounds of applause for what you did. You know, you do a dance and everyone starts clapping, and it's like, oh, I could get used to this. Singing, nice. Good job. You can't hear me sing. I was in a group. Good job, really. But you know, singing as a group. Chorus. I'm like, I've got a voice like Whitney Houston. Really, I taught her how to sing, but I would never let you hear it. You know, you'd just be too jealous. But yeah. But I think performing arts has a massive impact on the confidence of someone, especially getting into pageantry as well. It makes it that little bit more comfortable. I'm very similar. I spent years introducing children, because I became a secondary school teacher teaching performing arts, main subject dance, and I ended up introducing children on stage for 14 years. I was teaching for.
Oh wow.
I got into the pageantry, and it was like, well, I didn't get into the pageant, I was doing something else for my charity. And one of my ex-pupils helped me out with it and was kind of like, well, you've got to do a pageant. Do you know Kirsty Hornby? Kirsty.
Oh, really?
And she went to the school I taught in, and she was helping me out with a charity pageant. And she said, you've got to do a pageant. And I was the same. It was kind of like an issue of, why can't I do one? Because I didn't think I couldn't do that. I couldn't stand there doing like that. And I realised I had body issues, but I wasn't necessarily kicking and punching my way not to do a pageant, because I like the idea of getting back on stage. Do you know what I mean? But it was kind of a, can I do it?
That's why I said I was kind of dragged on kicking and screaming, but I don't know how much it was a performance that I was putting on, because I've admitted it since, but I've always said that they dragged me on. I was like, it was a little bit of me that kind of wanted maybe.
Yeah, mine was more of I realised where I'd lost my confidence. Why can't you perform on stage? Because I've not performed for so long. And when I was like, I couldn't do what you're doing, Kirsty, she was like, why not? And I questioned myself, why couldn't you? You know, you did it for years.
Yeah, I remember actually, because my daughter's been doing carnivals for quite a long time. This would have been our 5th year. And I was watching one of the adults do, well, there was a couple of the adults at one of these competitions actually showing you a pageant walk. And I'm sort of watching it and thinking, do you know what, I reckon I could do that. And one of the mums who was sat next to me, I think she must have connected to me, and her sort of, she was looking at me and said, could you really do that? And I was like, do you know what, yeah, I think I could. But it wasn't for another probably 2 years before I actually did. But that little spark hadn't quite disappeared.
No, the idea was there, just fizzling in the background.
Yeah, just there, just, you know, I just had to wait for the little voice on my shoulder to sort of actually speak up.
Yeah, definitely. So what does pageantry mean to you now? Why do you continue to be involved in it?
Oh.
I mean, you got your title. Why did you?
Well, yeah, I've got the title, but even without the title, even if this was just a finalist sash, a little bit like when you have children, you can't imagine their life before having them.
Yeah.
Pageants for me have kind of become the same thing. I can't imagine not doing them. Whenever you whenever you first stop doing something that you've been doing for an awfully long time, you get to a day where you would normally go and do a rehearsal, or you'd be going to an event or something. You feel empty.
Yeah.
And for me, the pageants are what fills that hole. They are that part of me that is me. And I keep doing it, not just because I enjoy them, but because they're part of me now. Even though it's only been 2 years, I've made so many friends who do pageants. I'm friends with parents of children who do pageants. I'm friends with children who do pageants. And we almost look out for each other. We've become a family.
Yeah.
We've got quite a close-knit little group up here in North Wales now. And what was a group that you could count on one hand, you now sort of go, there's so many of us. But
you're multiplying.
we have multiplied. And I don't think I could leave them behind either. Even if I wasn't competing, I wouldn't be able to not support them. So it's just something I don't think I could live without it right now.
I think you inspire each other, don't you?
Oh, most definitely. And there's some of the children come up with ideas that even as an adult you go, oh my gosh, that's epic.
Yeah.
How they come up with these new things, they inspire other children and adults to come up with something new. And I'm definitely not ready to lose that yet.
Yeah, it's something fun and it's outside the box. It's something you wouldn't get a chance to do in real life. It just gives you that little bit of a fantasy side of life, doesn't it? You know, like the magic of life. I mean, do people, just out of interest, do people who aren't in pageantry agree with you doing it, or do they have any views on you doing it?
Unfortunately, that's one of those subjects that unfortunately does touch on a negative for me.
Yeah, same here.
I would say that most people are supportive. The people who are vocal about it are supportive. I have had friends who sort of, okay, and then I've gone and done it and I've shown it to them and they've gone, wow, I couldn't do that. Good on you. And then they sort of think about it differently. But I have experienced the complete opposite.
Right.
That has come from family members. One in particular that did knock me for quite a while, who purposely didn't want me to come to an event because he didn't want me to bring the silly crown.
Oh.
Other friends who I've got who are friends with this particular person who had come to me afterwards and said, do you know what this person's saying about you? I was like, what do you mean? So at this point I didn't realise. And, you know, they said they've been saying these things pretty publicly. They think you look stupid. They think that you're too overweight, you're too old, you've got kids. Why are you making yourself look so stupid? And other things that they wouldn't tell me that they were saying because they didn't want to hurt me.
And that was a friend of yours that was saying that?
No, it was a family member.
Oh my goodness.
It was a family member. It was friends of mine who were hearing this, and I have to be very, very, very grateful to one of them who actually did say to this person, what on earth are you talking about?
Yeah.
If you're going to talk like that, I'm walking away, and did walk away from them. I was so grateful to that one person for sticking up for me.
Yeah.
But they also kept their ears open, and when things were said and did happen, she did let me know. So, but that really knocked me back. And
I think it's through ignorance, isn't it?
Rifts.
It's through ignorance. I mean, I'm just going to say it here, but my husband doesn't get pageantry. I can't talk to him about the pageantry really because he just thinks it's really shallow and everything like this. And I said, well, you've never been to one. You don't know what it's about. You're judging it based on something back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He said, listen, at the end of the day, he said, if it makes you happy and you're enjoying it, do it. He
My
said,
husband's
I
exactly
could
the
never
same.
watch you do it. I could never watch you do it.
Well, my husband hasn't actually watched me do it, not through lack of wanting to, but more, to be fair to him, he's had children. Every time I've gone to an event, gone to compete or gone to compete, he's had the children each time.
Yeah.
So for him to come and watch is actually quite difficult. But his point of view is from watching my daughter do carnivals for so long, that he sees the confidence that's grown in her. He sees the enjoyment she's got out of it. He's seen us sitting down and designing car decorations and color schemes, and then he watches me do the same thing for myself, and he sees the same thing in me that he saw in our daughter when she first started carnivals. Yeah. So
you see the
I don't know. I'd love for him to come and watch one, but we'd have to set the right circumstances.
See, I don't think I'd want him to come and watch one now, because it's like,
no,
he'll see, you know, you've got to respect him for his views, but he's just him. And it's like,
yeah.
I asked him to film me the other day, you know, for one of these virtual ones while I'm walking across the floor, and he's filming, and he says, I'm filming towards you, and he went, like he was going to start laughing. And I just thought, I couldn't have you there. You just put me off big time, because he just thinks it's really funny.
Yeah, he probably, well, that's just it. I've tend to find that when people laugh like that, it's because they're actually nervous.
Yeah.
They're not quite sure how to react. So if they put on the laugh, it's a way of getting rid of that nervousness, because if he's never seen you do it before and then all of a sudden he stood there filming you, he's not quite sure how to feel. And I know people like that who genuinely they're absolutely fuming inside, but laughing their heads off because they don't know how to act.
I think for him, it's more of a case. He said to me, "It's not you. It is not you. It's just complete falseness." And I've got to agree with him, because I am not someone who walks around trying to be elegant all the time. You know, he sees the other side of me and me slobbies, and you know, and
we're going back to the performance side. It's knowing that it's putting on a performance.
But that's exactly what I love about it. I'm not being me. I'm putting a performance on. I mean, if you talk to me, you'll always get me. But I don't know whether what you talk to and what you see on stage match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally different things.
But that's why I enjoy it, because it's not normality for me. It's something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I understand him. I do understand him why he finds it funny. But yeah, I couldn't have him at a pageant with me at all. Just couldn't do it. So next question. How do you think pageantry empowers participants for life events? Like, so if I wasn't in pageantry and you were trying to promote it to me, how would it help me in my life?
Pageantry in general, I find, has, especially in the public view, very one way or another, a bit like Marmite, you either love it or hate it.
Yeah.
On the love side, you have the people who have done pageants or have experienced pageants, whether it's being a parent through pageants or you know, things like that, who are all about, you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
Until you've done it and experienced it, try not to judge it, because people are very quick to judge, which is on the negative side, which is those who still think it's about exploitation and the superficial look, and they don't, because they haven't taken part in it or tried to learn something about it, they have that blinkered view and really struggle to see past it.
Yeah.
The empowerment side actually comes from the bit that I think a lot of people who don't do pageants hardly ever see, and that is the bit all before the actual day of the pageant. That day on is the one thing that everybody sees. They see the live stream or they see the event taking place, but empowerment comes from the bit all comes before that. From the moment you get your finalist sash, you are working, you are publicising, you are finding your own outfits, you are working for your charity or your chosen charity, your platform, you are building on something, and that empowerment comes from building yourself. because by doing all of those things that you are doing to prepare for a pageant, you are boosting yourself, you're boosting your self morale, you're getting out there, being more connected to your own community and to the pageant community in general. And that once you get to that day, you're full of all that energy of those weeks or months of working hard, putting together scrapbooks, and as you go through putting that scrapbook together, realize how much you've done, how much you've put yourself into making this event and day happen. So when you get on that stage, all of that comes rushing into your body. It's like an adrenaline, and that empowerment comes from all that work that you're achieving to getting to that one day. Whereas what other people see is just that one day. They don't see everything that you've achieved in here and here for you to get to that one day. So for me, the journey of getting to that one day is just as, if not more important, as the pageant competing day itself.
I agree. Well said, that girl. Well said. I'm just going to pause as a sec. Ooh. And we're back. Okay, so what empowers you day to day? What makes you get out of bed and go, today's going to be a good day? What's your inspiration?
That one goes right back to the answer to one of my first questions, is being a parent. On a day-to-day basis, I've got to keep remembering that I am the person bringing up my children. Yes, okay, I've got my husband as well, I won't forget him. But I'm the person that they look to every day, all day, to be the person there to teach them life skills and life confidence. And thankfully for me, doing the pageants is one of those things that gives me enough confidence to help them pursue their pursuits. So my son loves football, so we get up early hours of the morning, we go out and stand in muddy fields in the blazing heat and the pouring rain and even in snow. And because I've got the nous to go and take him to those things, he builds his confidence. My daughter does carnivals and kickboxing, two completely different things. Doing the carnivals has definitely given her much more confidence to talk to people and make friends, while the kickboxing gives her a personal sense of achievement and strength. So for me, I use my strength and my personal abilities that to a degree doing pageants has given me to pour it into them. So my day-to-day energy definitely comes from them.
I think as well it inspires them, doesn't it, with your work ethic? When they get to see how hard you're working for something, it inspires them that that's the way you should be. It's a good example to set, I think. I mean, I think
go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think you get too many parents that go to work and then they come home and what their kids actually see is them sat on the couch, exhausted, or having a beer or making tea and then sitting on the couch. So I think it's really important that they do get to see the hard work that's put in, that they can see that's the way, you get results if you put the hard work in. Yeah,
well, both of them have been doing things that they've loved for quite a few years as well. I mean, they're only 8 and 10, but he's been doing football since he was 6.
Wow.
And she's been doing, Carla said this would have been our 5th year, and my daughter's just about to go for her purple belt. So she's been doing kickboxing for a number of years, and both of them know, hopefully, that the more they work at things, the more they get out of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're one of those families that until lockdown has always been in and out of the house one way or another. It's out to school, back home, dinner, out to football, out to kickboxing, out to swimming, and then at the weekends we've got one at carnivals on Saturdays or Sundays, and another one doing football on a Saturday or Sunday, and we're always in and out of the door.
It must be shattered.
To a degree, but it's worth it when you see what they're achieving for themselves more than anything else.
Yeah,
definitely.
So do you have like a favorite life quote that you abide by or that drives you?
I'm a little bit of an old-fashioned one when it comes to quotes, actually. The one that I nearly always quote to myself is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I definitely believe that if you want to be treated well, you treat other people the same way.
Yeah.
And I know and have met people who have experienced a lot more of the negative side of life. And I've thought, well, if around right people, maybe you'd have felt differently. And I would like to think that I am one of those people who people can talk to, who they can approach, because when I talk to people, if they tell me something, it goes in this ear and gets locked away. I'm not one of those people who repeats. I like to be thought of as somebody that people can trust, but you can't do that without earning it.
Yeah.
So I try to perpetuate somebody that other people would like to be, in the same way that I look at people and think, oh, I'd love to be like you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because I try and treat everybody the same and hope that they would do the same thing for me.
I think half the time I get in trouble from my husband for that, because I tend to be too nice to people and I'll do anything for anyone, but when they don't do the same back, I struggle to handle it. I get really hurt by it. I am oversensitive. I know I'm oversensitive, but when you go out your way and sacrifice yourself for others, you kind of expect it back. And he said, everybody doesn't live in your fluffy, shiny world, Sam. Do you know what I mean? If you expect to be disappointed, that's his outlook. He's quite the pessimist and I'm the optimist. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit the same. I'm not necessarily a glass half full girl, but I'm definitely I will give people a lot more chances than other people probably would.
Yeah.
I would probably say at least 50% of the time it's usually justified, and suddenly somebody has sort of gone, do you know what, I haven't realised just how much you've done. What can I do for you? And even if it's just that one person who does that, it feels worth it.
I mean, you don't do things to get things back. You don't do it for that reason.
No.
But I think when you know how much effort it took you, I mean, sometimes I've like rearranged childcare and, you know, sorted all this stuff so I can go and help someone. And then it's like, how can I put it? Like one time I had somebody who was stranded and really struggling, you know, and couldn't get the kids to school and all this because they weren't well. And so I went legging it around the house. I'll take your kids to school and then drop mine off after. And their partner opened the door. Oh yeah, you're taking the kids.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? And then I was really kind of, I can't believe you've done that to me, you know. And my husband was like, Sam, what do you expect? You offer things. You need to start saying no.
It's knowing when to say no. So
I'm getting there. I'm learning because it's at my age now. I'm doing so much stuff now. I'm like that, trying to keep up with everybody else's needs, and I need to look at mine a little bit more.
Oh, definitely.
So again,
either that or go through a great deal of concealer.
I've already gone through it. I've got a subscription. So if you had somebody in front of you now who just wasn't feeling empowered today and wasn't feeling it at all, what would you say to them to sort of motivate them?
I know in myself that I'm not feeling empowered. It's usually to do with something mentally, either not necessarily mental health wise, but I know that there's something else going on back there. So without trying to overthink it, I would probably tell them, okay, you're not feeling empowered today, but you know what, that's fine. There are days when everybody feels that way. You don't have to feel alone in that. You don't feel empowered today, that's fine. Go and put on a pair of PJs, go and have a hot bath, make yourself a hot drink, paint your nails, put on a film, snuggle up on the sofa, make yourself feel better and how you're feeling now, have a bloody good sleep, see how you feel tomorrow. Those days don't always last. They don't stick with you forever. They will pass. So love yourself in those bad moments. Try and give your body and your mind time to heal, and then come back to it again when you are feeling empowered. Because if you try and push yourself to do something when you don't feel it, all you're doing is hurting yourself.
Definitely.
So, you know, so close the door, switch off your phone, cuddle up under a duvet, even if you need to have a bloody good cry and get it out of your system. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad about it. Embrace it, let it happen, and then come out of it feeling better for yourself.
That's what I say to my cancer patients, something that you said there, you know, when it just gets a bit too on top of them, the journey. I say, go to bed with your PJs on, watch a really sad film, cry your eyes out, get it all out your system, and empty that pint glass a little bit. Because I always compare it to a pint glass in that the things you have to deal with, fill your pint glass up. Each day, oh, there's another stress, put that in the pint glass, and it just fills up and up and up. And when it gets near the top, it's shaking, and it's like, I'm going to blow. And then someone hopes it. By having that film on, it just empties it out slightly, and it allows you to carry on a little bit more. And, you know, it works. And then when you've had your good cry, and you've had your couple of days of, like, I'm like this after a pageant. That's the one, the snotty tissues all over the place, and the pageant hangover, the headache, everything. Oh, do you know? But this is it. I mean, you do that, feel sorry for yourself for a day or two, then you pull your big girl knickers up, you get your happy tunes on that bring back your memories from when you were clubbing it back in the day. Have a good dance around the house, and surround yourself with things that make you happy. Do you know what I mean?
Nothing like a good pair of Bridget Joneses to pull right up.
Exactly. Comfy knickers.
Definitely.
You do it every time.
Can't live without mine.
Hey, gone are the days of wearing thongs now. Oh my God. I used to live in them. Can't find them now.
I'm just having these horrible images of trying to sit down comfortably in an interview, wearing a thong, and thinking, no, you really can't be getting rid of them while you're talking to a panel of judges.
I don't do thongs, I do Spanx now instead.
Yes, and they have to be the ones that like come right up to your neck as well. They hide a multitude of sins.
Oh, gone are those days. Every bit of scaffolding I can get now, I tell you.
As long as it squeezes you in and pushes things up, we're fine.
Exactly. You're back. It is me.
Yeah, it is me, honestly.
Breathe.
I can't breathe, but I'm here.
Oh, you know what? It's been lovely chatting to you. I really appreciate that. Giving some lovely advice out to the girls today. I hope you enjoyed having that interview. I really appreciate you coming on. So,
thank you so much, Sam. It's been so nice to connect again.
Yeah. Somebody outside the house.
Don't have to sort of look out the window and wait for people to go past just to say hi.
Hi, yeah.
Hi. I don't know you, but hi.
Oh no, I appreciate it. Give everybody a wave goodbye. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you very much, guys.
Ta-ra.